Hello and welcome to a special vlog. I know I've been away for a while. Just decided to take 2 weeks off, just a bit of a vacay. I just went to Germany, came back. We're not here for that. We're here for my Premier League predictions. Now, very similar to everybody else, there's going to be, you can probably see it, there's a table just here that will fill out as I tell you the teams. So let's get straight into it. Starting at the bottom of the league in 20th position, I think will be Burnley. Now I know a lot of people are probably thinking Burnley might stay up. You know, they did impress last year, I felt, but I just have a feeling they've sold Michael Keane, Andre Gray. I can't see it going well for them this year. I can't see them staying up. Whether it's 20th or not, I'm not certain. I just think that's where they're going to be, right at the foot of the league. Moving on to 19th position, I think it's going to be Swansea. Now, they struggled for the most part last year, and as I record this, it seems to be like they're selling Gylfi Sigurdsson because he's been left out of their squad for the weekend. So, depending on how things go, if they keep Sigurdsson, they'll stay up, but if they don't, I don't think they can bring in anybody to replace him of that quality. They won't be able to attract anybody because they're a struggler, unfortunately. So I think, yeah, Swansea in 19th is my prediction there. And 18th is probably one of the biggest surprises on here. I've gone for Crystal Palace. So the reason I put them there is because, I mean, they always seem to, they're becoming like the Sunderland of this league, where they look for most of the season like they're struggling. They then sack their manager, bring in a new one, and he keeps them up. Now, obviously, Allardyce left right at the end of the season. They brought in, was it Ronald de Boer or Frank de Boer? I can't remember right now. But, you know, I just can't see them staying up, unfortunately. It's just one of those things where I feel like a lot of the other teams have qualities they don't, and even though they have players like Benteke and obviously Zaha, I just really can't tip them to stay up because they're not consistent. Zaha on his day could play for a Liverpool or a Tottenham, but most of the time he's barely Crystal Palace quality, I feel. So that means that none of the promoted teams, I think, are going to get relegated personally. But I do think Huddersfield will finish 17th. So mainly I think it's because when they come up against teams like Burnley, Swansea, Crystal Palace, maybe even Brighton and Newcastle, teams that are going to defend a bit more because they need the points to stay up, their sort of high pressing game, attacking game will force those teams into mistakes and they'll get goals and they'll win those games. But then I also feel when they come up against the Man Cities, the Man Uniteds, the Chelseas, they're going to lose 5-0 because they're going to be trying to win every game, because that's how David Wagner likes to play. He likes to play attacking football, very similar to obviously Jurgen Klopp. So I just feel that there's going to be a little bit of an issue there when playing the bigger teams, but I think they'll get enough points to stay up, maybe even only on goal difference on the final day. But I actually think their goal difference is going to be the worst in the league because of the way that they play. Moving into 16th, I'm going to go for Brighton and Hove Albion. I like Brighton. I've been down to the Amex before. Very nice stadium. Definitely a Premier League stadium. And it looks like they're building a Premier League squad, and that's why I've put them here. So I don't think they're going to set the world alight, but I think they'll be steady. They will pick up points when they need them. They may nick a couple of points off the big boys. And I think it's going to be a hard place to go. When the teams go down to the Amex, they're going to really create an atmosphere there, and it's going to be hard to beat them. Obviously, 2 years previously in the Championship, missed out promotion the year before, finished second after really looking like they should have won the league last season. So yeah, 16th Brighton. Now in 15th, I've gone for Stoke. Now, I like Mark Hughes. I think he's a decent manager, but as we've seen for the last few years, Stoke always start really slowly, and I don't think that the board at Stoke are going to deal with that again. They're going to be quite unhappy that that keeps happening. So I have a feeling Mark Hughes will probably be gone by Christmas. That's just how I feel. It seems like a lot of the Stoke fans on the internet feel the same way. They didn't really like him last year. They want him gone this year. At least that's how it feels to me looking from the outside. And I think they won't get in a manager better than Mark Hughes, and they'll do just enough to stay up again. Very similar to Brighton, picking up a couple of decent points. But I feel like Crystal Palace, they should be, with the players they've got, going a bit further with the likes of Shaqiri. But also they did sell Arnautovic, so you know, maybe they're going more for a consolidation season than anything else at this point. In 14th, I've gone for Newcastle United. Now, I think Rafa Benitez is probably one of the best managers in the league at this point. The fact he stayed with them in the Championship is massive credit to Rafa Benitez. But they've not really brought in anybody big. Now, obviously, there's still 3 weeks of the transfer window left to go, so that could change in a heartbeat. But I just feel that if they're not going to strengthen the squad any further, Dwight Gale probably, I feel like he fits Newcastle's system a lot better than Crystal Palace's, so he'll play a bit better for them in the Premier League than he did Palace. But I still don't really think he's going to get past about 10, 11, maybe 12 goals, which for a team down there might be enough to keep them up. And I think that's what they're going to do. This is going to be about consolidation. Once they're secure in the Premier League, Newcastle will be able to bring in whoever they need to bring in, because they really do need to get more signing through the door, because it's a very good Championship side that they brought up from last year, but for the Premier League it might not be good enough. But I think they will strengthen before the end of the transfer window, and that's why I've put them in 14th instead of a bit closer to the relegation zone. And obviously Rafa as well, like I said, one of the best managers, might even with that squad keep them up. In 13th, I've gone, this is a bit of a surprise as well, I've gone for Leicester. Obviously, Craig Shakespeare, after the sacking of Ranieri, really turned their form around, and they finished, you know, quite high up considering where they were. I think they were about 17th when Ranieri was sacked. So, you know, they're going to do kind of well, but I feel that bringing in Iheanacho was a good idea, but are they really going to drop Vardy to play Iheanacho, or are they going to try to play them together? Because I don't think that would work. Having two poachers up front wouldn't really work in the system they play. Obviously, Mahrez looks like he might be going to Roma, and there's a lot of other factors as well. Obviously, Shakespeare, it's his first time actually as the manager proper, and it's going to be hard to really say whether he's going to be the best. He did well at the end, but a lot of the players were fighting, I think, to stay up rather than for Shakespeare. Moving on to 12th, I've got Bournemouth. Obviously, Bournemouth did really well last year, finishing in 9th position. But once again, they brought back Ake, they brought back Begovic, who was there on loan back when he was really young. And yeah, I think they're going to get another decent mid-table finish. I think it's not going to be as tight in the middle from 17th upwards. I do kind of feel that Leicester is going to be the beginning of where you have like a proper mid-table, where there's like a 10-point gap from, you know, the teams in the relegation zone. So, you know, I think Bournemouth, once again, they'll be safe going to the last 5 games or so. They won't really have to worry about that. They can play some youth players. But they're still they're not really adding the quality necessary to push forward from where they are. So, once again, it seems like a lot of teams in mid-table are just going for consolidation rather than pushing forward, because with teams like Everton really spending the money, it's quite hard to keep up with that when you're, you know, a team like Bournemouth. In 11th, I've gone for my team, Watford. Now, this might be a bit biased putting them above Bournemouth considering how bad Watford did at the end of last year, but that's why we got rid of Walter Mazzari, and we've now brought in Marco Silva, who obviously turned Hull's fortunes around. Not enough to keep them up, but I saw a stat earlier that said that if he was there the entire season and they had that point ratio that he was getting, they would have finished 8th. So I don't think he'll keep that up the entire season. That I think it was like 1.5 point ratio. but he'll get close to it. And I think once again, just mid-table for Watford. Brought in some decent players: Chalobah, Hughes. Obviously brought in Andre Gray from Burnley, so there's a bit more competition up front now. And with the lack of Ighalo's pace at the back end of last year, you could see that they sort of missed a bit of that pace up front. Both Deeney and Akaka, they're not fast players, so bringing in Gray is a big bonus. In 10th, I've gone for West Brom. They're going to finish exactly the same place they did last year. Unlike a lot of other people, I rate Tony Pulis. I think if given the resources of a Man United or a Chelsea, he could be seen as one of the best managers in the Premier League. But as it is, he's at West Brom. He's brought in, obviously, Jay Rodriguez. He brought in the Egyptian defender Higazi. But they do need to sign a few more players, I feel, for this position to guarantee a top half finish. Because, I mean, they've still got Macaulay as their main centre-back. They should probably be looking to bring someone in, considering the fact that players like Zuma have gone to Stoke on loan. West Brom really should be trying to sign those players if they want to try and consolidate a top half finish and start to push on further, because I think they could do it. They've got the fan base definitely to do a lot better than just a mid-table team. In 9th, I've gone for Southampton. Now, Southampton for me are a very odd club. If they keep Van Dijk, they could be challenging Everton for Europe. If they lose Van Dijk, they could end up slipping down to 15th, because that's the sort of team they are. They seem to sell all their best players, but at the same time, they sell them, and yet they can bring in replacements from smaller leagues like the Eredivisie, and they're just as good players. So I think 9th is a fair opinion. I quite like Southampton. I think they're a decent team. Pellegrino obviously did. Pellegrino, not Pellegrini, in case you're wondering. I didn't stutter there. I think we'll do a really good job, obviously, joining Alaves, getting 9th place in La Liga. For a team like Alaves is a massive feat. So I say, yeah, 9th. In 8th, this is a bit of a surprise, I've gone for Everton. So I've put Everton in 8th because, obviously, they sold Lukaku for 75, but they've brought in lots and lots of decent players. But at the same time, they brought in lots and lots of players. And I just feel like at the start of the season, they're not really going to gel that quickly. So they're going to struggle for a while. And then I kind of feel like that's going to put Koeman under pressure. And around about October, November time, with Everton sitting 12th in the league, already 6 points off the top 6. The Everton board, with the amount of money they've spent, are going to be quite upset at that. And Koeman, for me, could be one of the first people to lose his job, very similar to Mark Hughes, because of the amount of money they've spent. If they don't come out the gates firing, challenging for the top 6, then I think that could be it for Koeman. In 7th, I've gone for West Ham. Now, I like Bilic as a manager. I really like Chicharito as a striker. They brought in, obviously, Arnautovic as well. They already had players like Lanzini. Obviously, Joe Hart on loan, Zabaleta in the fullback positions. And they're just strengthening in every position. They're not just bringing in depth players, they're bringing in starters. And that's kind of what they needed. Obviously, they're now in their second season at the London Stadium, so hopefully they should now be a bit more accustomed to it. A lot of the teams have already played there, so it's not going to be like a cup final for them to play at this massive stadium. So hopefully West Ham can make the Olympic Stadium as good as a bit more of a fortress like they were their last season at Upton Park. And I think 7th, which means that obviously if one of the top 6 wins a trophy, they're into Europe, and not at the first qualifying round like they normally were, in an actual decent chance of qualifying round. In 6th, now this is probably the most surprising pick that I've gone for. In 6th, I've gone for Tottenham. Now, before everybody starts pissing at me in the comments, there is a reason behind this, and it's Wembley, and the fact they've not brought in any depth. So, starting with Wembley, they struggle there. They really do. And very similar to West Ham, teams are going to go there, especially the smaller teams, like Bournemouth, like Newcastle, like Stoke, like Brighton. It's going to be a cup final for them. They're going to go there, they're going to play as best they can. The players are going to put in probably the best performance of the season against Tottenham. And that's going to make it hard for them. Now, I'm not saying they're not going to be able to win at Wembley. They probably will pick up, I probably think, about 6 or 7 wins. But they're going to draw a lot of games. They're going to lose a couple of games at Wembley, which obviously at White Hart Lane, they didn't lose any at all. And they actually won like most of their games. Like 70% of their games at White Hart Lane, they won. So that's going to be a struggle. And they've not really brought anybody in. So last year, we saw that when Kane got injured, Janssen came in and they struggled. They didn't win a single game without Kane in that first month that he got injured, and they played like 6 or 7 games. And considering that if Kane was playing, they probably would have won a couple of those games, that could have been the difference between them winning the league. If that happens again, because they're not at White Hart Lane, they've not got the same thing. And obviously now they've also sold Walker as well. Trippier is injured. There's a lot of factors going into it, and I just feel that lack of depth is also going to come back and bite them, and that's why I've gone for 6th. Now, in 5th place, I've gone for Liverpool. And this is simply a case because I think that Jurgen Klopp's playing style, using the Gegenpress, and being in Europe, is really going to tire out the players. You could see by the end of the year, around about February time, they're really tired. They suddenly had to go through that Christmas period doing this playing style, and they were exhausted by the end of January. And they didn't win for a couple of games. And that almost cost them at the end of the season when Arsenal started picking up some points. And I just think that with the addition of Europe as well being in the Champions League, they're going to struggle and they're going to end up finishing 5th. And it's really as simple as that. I think they've made some decent signings like Salah, but I don't think they're Champions League top 4 quality signings. There's a reason why Salah couldn't get into the Chelsea squad. I think he'll be good for Liverpool, Salah. He fits their playing style. With Mane and Salah, the wings are going to be very deadly. But it's going to be too much for them being in Europe. 5th place. Now in 4th, I've gone for Chelsea. And this is simply because they've not strengthened at all, where all their competitors have. So, you know, bringing in Rudiger, I mean, he's a decent centre-back, but they already had a really decent defence. I didn't feel it was necessary to bring in more defenders, especially when Costa is leaving. They brought in Morata, who was good for Juventus, but for Real Madrid, who was a sub. Really, if you're spending 70 million on a striker, you should be getting Benzema. You should be getting a starting striker for one of the top La Liga clubs, not a sub, if I'm being honest, because you brought in Batshuayi, who was, you know, a starter in Liga for a top club in France, and he sat on your bench. So, I mean, I just feel that you're going to have £100 million worth of striker sitting on your bench as Costa plays for the first 6 months because he's the only one who's scoring. 4th place for Chelsea. Now in 3rd, I've gone for Manchester United. Now the reason I've done this is simply because I feel like Jose Mourinho is past it. And that's no disrespect to Jose Mourinho or Man United fans. They've got a really good squad. But as we saw last year, Mourinho cares more about not losing rather than winning. So he'll feel that at 1-1, yeah, in the 90th minute, he would rather just sit back and take the draw rather than risk it all to get the 3 points like Alex Ferguson would have. And he's also not as likeable as Louis van Gaal, if I'm being honest. But I think it is just the Mourinho factor. I feel like they should have given Van Gaal the extra season, and he probably would have got them top 4 if he made those signings of, you know, Pogba and Ibrahimovic. So yeah, Man United 3rd. In 2nd place, I have gone for Arsenal. So that means you know who 1st is already now. But in 2nd place, I've gone for Arsenal. If they keep Sanchez, which according to Arsene Wenger, they're going to do. Obviously, that could all change. He could go to Man City, he could go to Barcelona, he could go anywhere. If they keep hold of Sanchez, keep hold of Ozil, they've brought in Lacazette, brought in Kolasinac. They've really got a good squad, and they've got good depth as well. And Arsene Wenger's already said he's not really going to take Europa League seriously. He doesn't care about it. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them play Martinez in goal and go out in the group stages, and he does not really care. And he's going to be focusing entirely on the league, I feel. And I think they'll get 2nd place. And it's not going to be like when Leicester won the league and they sort of pipped the team approach. I think they're going to be, you know, quite clear 5 points clear or so of Man United in third, and it's going to be quite comfortable for them for a lot of the season. I think they will still have that mid-season struggle that they normally have, and that's why I think Man City are going to win the league. But I don't think it's going to be as bad as previously, because they've got, when you've got Sanchez, Lacazette and Giroud as your 3 striking options, you've got probably a decent chance of winning the league, let alone finishing second. Now first, obviously, I've gone for Manchester City. Obviously, Pep Guardiola is the manager. Most people consider him the best coach in the world. I don't. I think he's good, but as we saw last year, the first time he ever really had a season where he struggled, he seemed very stressed out for a lot of it. It's been quite a stroll at Barcelona and Bayern Munich for him, because they're expected to win the league, and he did, with probably some of the best squads those two teams have either had. Whereas at Man City, he had a very ageing squad, and he sort of had a bit of a falling out with some of the bigger players, like Aguero, obviously dropping in for a couple of games, and that's the news media sparked off. But I mean, with the players they brought in, obviously players like Mendy, and if they bring in Sanchez, they're going to win it easily, I feel. But yeah, Man City to win the league. I mean, everybody's predicting it. It means it probably won't happen at all. But yeah, they're my Premier League predictions. I'll leave the table there afterwards if you want for a second or two, so you can pause it now actually instead. Pause the video, look at the table, put down your tables down below. I'll have a look at them, and obviously you can compare to what you think compared to me, or compared to other people who've done this, people like Spencer FC, and yeah, we can have a look at that, which will be very fun. I keep looking at the wrong place for the camera. Yeah, that's going to be it from me. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I will be doing a lot more Football Manager content on this channel in the coming weeks, and I will see you later. Bye bye.